Number 6. Creeping around the edges. On June 3, 2023, in broad daylight, right in front of a restaurant, a man stabbed his ex-girlfriend 15 times. The incident left 4 people injured and hospitalized. A 17-year-old high school softball star, Madison Shemitz, along with her mother, Jackie Roach, were attacked by 18-year-old Spencer Pearson in Ponte Vedra, Florida, where the teenager was having lunch with her mother and a friend. Spencer was a recent graduate of the same high school and had been in a relationship with Madison, which had recently ended. Spencer had been threatening Madison with violence over several months, prompting Jackie to try secure a restraining order against him. Jackie had filed a police report concerning Spencer less than a week before the incident. In her report, she described Spencer's troubling behavior, including following her daughter on her way to school, leaving notes on her car, and even using fake social media accounts to send her messages. When the group spotted Spencer at the restaurant, they were worried and decided to leave. But as they left the building, they were confronted by Spencer in the parking lot. His presence and aggression escalated the situation dramatically. Casey Estep, who was present during the attack, was a close friend of Jackie's and part of the group having lunch. She was the first to notice Spencer's approach, recognizing the school logo on his clothes. The group tried to leave discreetly, but Spencer started running toward them. He attacked Madison and her mother outside the restaurant, specifically near Mr. Chubby's Wings on Valley Circle. He stabbed the girl at least 15 times while her mother suffered stab wounds to her leg and forehead. The violent assault caught the attention of Kennedy Armstrong, a 23-year-old passerby. He saw Spencer attacking Madison and her mother, holding onto Madison's arm while stabbing her repeatedly. Kennedy rushed to the scene and managed to push him off of her. But Spencer then turned his aggression towards Kennedy, severing an artery in his arm. His violent spree did not end there, as he went on to slash his own throat. All 4 of the people were immediately taken to the hospital after first responders came to the scene. A troubling mugshot of Spencer was released after his arrest, with bandages around his neck and the stitches of his self-inflicted wound still visible. After being hospitalized for several weeks due to his self-inflicted throat wound, Spencer was finally taken into custody and booked at a St. Johns County jail. He made his court appearance the next day, still sporting bandages across his neck, where the stitches from the injury were visible. During his court appearance, Spencer acknowledged the charges brought against him. Madison, a rising senior and recognized softball star, suffered severe spinal cord damage due to the assault, leaving her paralyzed. Spencer pleaded not guilty to multiple counts of attempted murder and aggravated battery, and he is yet to be sentenced. Number 5. Beauty Queen's Misbehavior. On August 29, 2013, an 18-year-old girl appeared in court for the first time for throwing homemade bombs. Kendra Mackenzie Gill was once a beauty queen who had to give up her title due to her arrest, as she faced charges of possessing explosive devices, which are considered second-degree felonies. Gill's situation also involves 3 of her friends, Bryce Christopher Stone, Shanna Marie Smith, and John Patrick Rare, who were all accused of the same charges. The group of friends allegedly engaged in throwing makeshift bombs crafted from everyday items purchased at Walmart at the houses and driveways of acquaintances. Although they claimed these devices, made from plastic bottles, toilet cleaner, and aluminium foil, were part of a prank, authorities considered the actions highly dangerous. Gill, who had previously held the title of Miss Riverton, felt bad for her actions and willingly let go of her title after the incident. She spoke of her decision to step down and expressed hope that someone else would carry on the position that she had held. Her journey to becoming Miss Riverton involved significant effort, including showcasing her piano skills and winning a $2,000 scholarship. All 4 teenagers admitted to throwing the homemade bombs, but they claimed that it was done to scare their friends rather than harm them. Although no injuries were caused by the incident, the seriousness of their actions could not be overlooked. The devices were potentially harmful due to the corrosive nature of the chemicals used and the shrapnel effects that could have ensued. There were differing opinions about the severity of the punishment. While some feel that the teenagers are being unfairly treated for a harmless prank, others, including Gil's neighbors, believe that community service and a small fine would have been more appropriate. Gil's lawyer, Wally Bugden, believed that the charges were excessive, considering that the teenagers were only trying to play a prank. The 4 people accused were facing a potential prison sentence of up to 15 years, but as part of the plea agreement, the felony charges were dropped. All 4 of them were told to complete 200 hours of community service and pay a $500 fine each, after which all of the charges were dropped. Do you think that they were sentenced unfairly? Let us know in the comments and hit subscribe while you're at it. Number 4. A fight between siblings. On February 2nd, 2018, a young boy from Georgia killed his sister in a dispute over their Wi-Fi password. 18-year-old Kevon Watkins was found guilty of strangling his 20-year-old sister, Alexis Brianna Watkins, to death in their home in Macon. He opted for a trial by judge rather than a jury. In his trial, he was declared guilty of felony murder. The tragic incident occurred 2 years earlier when he was 16. The conflict initially arose between Kevon and his mother over the home's internet service, as he had changed the Wi-Fi password to ensure smooth online gaming for himself. The situation escalated when his sister Alexis intervened, concerned that Kevon might become physically aggressive toward their mother. That's when Kevon and Alexis got into a physical altercation that ended badly. During the fight, Kevon put his sister in a chokehold, and this restraint lasted about 15 minutes. Despite their mother's attempts to separate them, she eventually called the police for assistance. Law enforcement arrived and ordered Kevon to release his sister from the chokehold, but by the time they managed to do so, Alexis had already passed away due to asphyxiation. Deputies tried CPR, but she was pronounced dead at a local hospital that same night. Kevon's younger brother also called 911 during the fight, describing Kevon's behavior as crazy and detailing how he had put his mother in danger by placing Alexis in a chokehold. Judge Verda M. Colvin stated that Kevon's actions legally constituted felony murder, as he did not intend to kill his sister, but his actions resulted in her death due to the severity of the chokehold. Alexis, who was engaged at the time of her tragic death, left behind her fiancé and a 3-year-old son. In August 2019, Kevon was sentenced to life imprisonment without any chance of parole. Number 3. Not an accident. In July 2022, a 17-year-old rammed her Toyota Camry into a building in Strongsville, Ohio, at a speed of 100 miles per hour. Authorities found that marijuana was present in her system at the time of the crash, and magic mushrooms were found at the crash site. The car's black box showed that she had fully accelerated and did not try to push the brakes either. 19-year-old Mackenzie Cirilla was convicted in August 2023 for the murders of her boyfriend, 20-year-old Dominic Russo, and his friend, 19-year-old Davian Flanagan, who died because of the crash. Her mother tried to blame her car crash on a medical condition causing dizziness, but despite this defense, a judge found her guilty. Prosecutors argued that this was a premeditated act of murder. They believed that Mackenzie deliberately crashed her car due to her problematic relationship with Dominic, which had reportedly been marked by threats she had made towards him. While she and her family claimed that it was an accident and that she had lost control of the vehicle, the court ruled otherwise. During the trial, it was revealed that Mackenzie suffered from a condition that causes dizziness upon standing up due to decreased blood flow to the heart. This condition's common symptom is lightheadedness. When asked if this could have caused the crash, her mother conceded that it was a possibility. Mackenzie's aunt also took to the stand, contradicting claims that the relationship between Mackenzie and Dominic was problematic. Instead, she portrayed the two as deeply in love. Despite this testimony, Mackenzie's involvement in the crash led to her arrest 4 months later, charged with murder, felonious assault, and aggravated vehicular homicide. The court heard recordings of Mackenzie threatening to damage Dominic's car, indicating escalating tension in the relationship. The weeks before the crash had witnessed increasing acrimony between them. Davian, who lost his life alongside Dominic, was deemed an unfortunate bystander by prosecutors. Evidence on Mackenzie's social media portrayed reckless driving behavior, with photos showing her with alcohol and cigarettes behind the wheel. Mackenzie was handed 2 sentences of life imprisonment for the 2 victims, with a minimum sentence of 15 years in both cases. Number 2. Modern-day Bonnie and Clyde. In July 2015, a teenage couple from Ohio, involved in a crime spree across 3 states, was captured in West Virginia after a police chase. Local authorities in Wyandotte County, Ohio, reported that a 16-year-old boy named Tristan Kindle and a 15-year-old girl named Rose May were in the custody of the West Virginia State Police. Comparing them to the infamous criminals Bonnie and Clyde, the teens from Upper Sandusky and Sycamore in northwest Ohio had gone missing earlier. It all started when police were called to an armed robbery at the P&W Minimart in Elizabeth Township, Allegheny County. During the incident, an officer grabbed a trailer hitch in an attempt to arrest the couple, but was dragged some distance by the vehicle, resulting in minor injuries. The teens' presence in Elizabeth Township, Pennsylvania, left authorities baffled. Law enforcement and responders conducted extensive searches for the missing teens, and a similar manhunt had been carried out in Brookville earlier. Tristan was described as a 5-foot 5-inch white male weighing 150 pounds, with brown eyes and brown hair. Rose was described as a 5-foot 4-inch white female weighing 130 pounds, with green eyes and blondish brown hair. But then the suspects were arrested in West Virginia after a truck they were in was spotted by authorities. A 12-mile pursuit followed, which ended in a crash of a stolen vehicle from Pennsylvania. The teens then attempted to flee on foot, but were eventually caught. The crash occurred in Sistersville, West Virginia, and it was reported that the teenagers tried to escape by leaping into the Ohio River. Rose was carrying a handgun during the incident. When the teens realized they could not swim across the river, they turned back. Both of them were charged as adults in Pennsylvania. These charges included felony counts of aggravated assault and robbery. Rose May was facing felony charges, including criminal conspiracy, receiving stolen property, and attempting to flee from or elude a police officer. She was eventually sentenced to probation, but Tristan's sentence was not disclosed. Number 1. Deadly gang rivalries. At around 3 p.m. on December 15, 2020, in Brownsburg, Indiana, a young man named Freddie Hegwood was sitting in a red Jeep Compass when gunshots were fired from a Chevy Impala. One of the shots hit Freddie, leaving him dead on the spot. The suspects responsible for the shooting included 17-year-old Antonio Lane, 17-year-old Kamarion Moody, 17-year-old Jeremy Perez, and 18-year-old Tyrione Tay Jackson. Escalating tensions and online conflicts between the rival gangs were the reasons behind the killing of Hegwood. Although he was rushed to Eskenazi Hospital in Indianapolis, he eventually gave in to his injuries. The investigators found spent bullet casings of both .223 and .40 caliber at the crime scene. The Jeep had multiple bullet holes, and some of the bullets even pierced a nearby home. Hegwood's friend, who was in the Jeep with him during the attack, told the authorities that a black passenger car pulled up alongside them and shots were fired. Although the passenger remained unharmed, he only narrowly avoided being struck himself. After investigations, it was revealed that Hegwood had gotten into a feud with members of a rival gang, leading to a series of insults and threats being exchanged. The suspects were affiliated with 2 rival gangs, Insane Money Gang and Cutthroats, which had been involved in various confrontations in the Indianapolis area. Social media also played a role in the lead-up to the shooting. Hegwood had become part of online conflicts and text message disputes in the days before his tragic death. Police traced the social media profiles to phone numbers, which eventually helped in identifying the suspects involved in the shooting. The vehicle involved in the incident, a Chevy Impala, was traced through both its temporary and permanent license plates. It was registered under the name of Moody's mother. A search of the car yielded DNA and gunshot residue swabs, and .223 ammunition casings were found within the vehicle, some of which matched the casings found at the shooting scene. Leading up to the incident, Hegwood had posted a video outside a house linked to Moody and had sent him a photograph, asking if it was where Moody's girlfriend lived. Moody and Hegwood were seen engaging in taunting video calls on Instagram. Further evidence was found on Moody's phone, including references to the shooting in rap lyrics, which Moody even performed in a video found on his phone. After the murder, Moody, Lane, and Perez took a Greyhound bus to California. An Instagram post from Perez suggested his involvement in the murder, featuring a .223 magazine with rubber bands or tape. The investigators concluded that all 4 suspects were present during the shooting. The analysis of cell phone data placed Jackson near the scene of the shooting at the time it occurred. All 4 individuals connected to the shooting incident were apprehended and taken into police custody. Lane was initially arrested in May 2021, and on July 13th that year, Moody, Perez, and Jackson were apprehended in Indianapolis. All 4 suspects were being held at the Hendricks County Jail. The charges in this case included murder, attempted murder, and criminal recklessness. Moody was sentenced to 95 years in prison, while Jackson got 140 years in prison. Lane was sentenced to 130 years, but Perez was found not guilty. Do you think that young people should be given milder sentences for their fatal crimes? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Bad Badger.